With this being just about halfway through the year 2023, it's time to talk about my most anticipated movies for the rest of this year. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben, and on this channel I love to talk about movies and TV, and if you also love to talk about movies and TV, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. A couple things before we get started. Make sure to let me know down below in the comment section, what movies are you most excited for the rest of the year? I personally am specifically only including movies that are coming out from August forward, so I'm not going to include movies like Barbie or Oppenheimer because they're pretty close, but that's just my personal preference. And also, we're going to have different lists. I'm probably going to be excited for one movie more than you are, and you might be more excited for one movie than I am, but that's okay because film is subjective. But with that being said, let's get started with some honorable mentions. At 15, I have a movie called Pain Hustlers starring Emily Blunt and Chris Evans. Now, I was sold on this movie alone just by the cast. You also have some supporting actors like Catherine O'Hara, J. Duplass, and I believe it's supposed to be a comedy about Emily Blunt's character getting into selling prescription drugs illegally. Plus, it's from David Yates, who has done a bunch of the Harry Potter movies, which I'm a big fan of. So this is one that I feel like we should all keep on our radar. And then above that, I have a really obscure pick, in my opinion, I feel, called Leave the World Behind. This is another movie that sold me based on its cast, but also its premise. You have people like Ethan Hawke, Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali starring in it, but the plot description kind of gave me Us vibes, where basically a family is on vacation and it gets interrupted by a couple who's saying there's going to be a blackout, and it talks about the collapsing world around them and this being an imminent threat. The plot sounds like a thriller, but it also could be more of a drama. Then we have Craven the Hunter, which is a movie that I'm very skeptical going into because it's from Sony, who has had a bad track record with movies like Venom and Morbius, specifically the movies that are based on Spider-Man comic book villains. What has me interested with this one, though, is the fact that it's rated R, so they're going to go full out with the violence, and you saw that in the trailer as well. The fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson is a pretty solid actor. He's a great leading man, and he looks the part. And also just the fact that I do like origin stories, and I'm a big fan of comic book movies, so I just hope they deliver a good story with this one. At number 12, I have Disney's Wish, which I've been interested in ever since it was announced last year at D23. And they set up this movie to be the story of how the star that all of the Disney characters wish upon, how the story behind that came to be, how the star itself came to be. Academy Award winner Ariana DeBose plays the lead role in this one. I thought the trailer looked solid, but I'm interested to learn more about this one. And then finally, we have the untitled Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel, which just finished filming, and I don't really think it's going to release this year. It's still slated to release this year, but with the visual effects work involved and everything in post that they need to work on to complete the movie, I doubt that they'll be able to finish it in like 6-ish months, unless they really rush it, which is not what we all want. But I was a fan of the previous Ghostbusters Afterlife movie. I'm a fan of the franchise. I really do enjoy the original movie, and the original cast is returning with this one, but you also have Paul Rudd and newer characters coming into it played by actors like Kumail Nanjiani and Patton Oswalt. But breaking us into our top 10 is going to be Next Goal Wins from Taika Waititi. Now, Taika Waititi is a director that has left a lot of people pretty upset with his most recent film, Thor: Love and Thunder, a highly divisive film. If you don't know, I lean more towards the positive side on that one, and I've been a fan of Waititi's work for a while now, with Jojo Rabbit being a great film. And you have Next Goal Wins being his next movie that doesn't have to do with a franchise or pre-existing IP, and it feels very similar to the story behind Ted Lasso. That being a coach, in this case a Dutch coach, being sent to coach a Samoan soccer team who really just can't win a game. I believe it is based on a true story as well, which is also pretty cool. I think that we have a potential Oscar player in our hands with this one. Depending on Michael Fassbender, he might be a shoo-in for Best Actor, but it also could be just more of a comedy rather than a drama as well. And the Oscars aren't so big on comedies. But regardless of its awards potential, I'm just excited for a feel-good movie because I'm always a sucker for those. At number 9, I have a new movie from Gareth Edwards called The Creator. This feels very Star Wars-esque. And if you don't know, Gareth Edwards did direct Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I think that could be cool to see him try to tackle a different story that feels similar to Star Wars but outside of that universe. But really the big thing that kind of piqued my interest in this one was the fact that test screening scores were crazy good for this one. Now, that's something to always take with a grain of salt because movies can get changed over time. In the editing rooms, they can change stuff around, and it might be a totally different film than one that test audiences saw. But the idea alone that people that have seen a rough cut of the movie really liked it, that gets me excited for this one. And then I have Strays, a new comedy starring Will Ferrell. I'm a big dog lover, and this is a hard R comedy about a dog kind of searching for a family. I just want some good laughs out of this one, and also a story that'll tug on the heartstrings as well. And then above that, I have The Iron Claw, which is a new film from A24. Now, this is another movie that doesn't have an official release date for 2023, but I believe is slated to come out sometime later this year and potentially be an awards contender. This is the story of the rise and fall of the Von Erich family, which is a family of wrestlers that made a big impact on the wrestling community, and this is based on a true story. This one has Zac Efron, Harris Dickinson, and Jeremy Allen White starring in it. A trio of terrific actors. If this is anything like a Warrior or even a Rocky, that definitely gets me excited, and I do know someone that has seen this film at a test screening, and they said to me that it is a very good film, so that gets me excited. And then above that, I have the new rom-com starring Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, Anyone But You. Now, plain and simple, I'm a sucker for rom-coms, so that gets me excited alone, but also the fact that it has Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. In the lead roles, they are two great actors. I'm a big fan of both of them. From the set photos alone, it seems like they have really good chemistry with one another, which is always a highlight in rom-coms. I just hope this is a rom-com that isn't so disposable and is memorable. Breaking us into our top 5 is Luca Guadagnino's Challengers. Now, the trailer for this one really hooked me. I'm a fan of Luca Guadagnino, specifically Call Me By Your Name and Bones and All, the latter being one of my favorite films of last year. But you have Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and Mike Face starring in this one. The trailer for this one seemed like a throwback to films we don't really get anymore, that being a movie that is very much a mixture of a thriller and a romantic film. It seemed very intense, and I've seen some compare this to Gone Girl, another film that I'm a big fan of, and I'm just excited to see how this one unravels and really all goes down. And number 4, Dumb Money. Now, Dumb Money tells the true story of the GameStop stock drama that went down a couple years ago, where a bunch of very casual people won a lot of money, but then you have business organizations and people at the very high levels losing a lot of money. It's directed by Craig Gillespie, who did one of my favorite movies of all time, Lars and the Real Girl. And even with his movies like I, Tonya and Cruella, he adds a lot of flair to them. Very stylistic, and it's always engaging because of that. And the cast is so stacked for this one. Going down a list, you have people like Paul Dano, Seth Rogen, Shailene Woodley, Pete Davidson, Anthony Ramos, America Ferrera, Nick Offerman, the list goes on. And a comedy that is a mix of a thriller as well, I am so on board for. At number 3, I have Saltburn. The newest film from Academy Award winner Emerald Fennell, behind one of my favorite movies of 2020, Promising Young Woman. That was, like I said, one of, if not my favorite movie of that year. And this is once again a movie that is supposed to come out later this year, but could get pushed to 2024. But this is a thriller, which, if you can't already tell, I'm a big fan of the thriller genre. And apparently the test screenings went really well with this one. Barry Keoghan might be a shoo-in for Best Actor. It tells the story of a college student who starts to grow a close relationship with an affluent classmate, maybe even more so an obsession, and I'm really excited to see how that all unravels. But our runner-up is going to be Wonka. Timothy Chalamet as Willy Wonka, that is an idea that has always intrigued me. Ever since that was announced, this is going to be an origin story of the character, but not more so such a darker story, but apparently very lighthearted, and this is supposed to be a musical as well. It's from Paul King, the director of the Paddington movies, and you already know from that fact alone, this is going to be a movie that is going to pull on the heartstrings, but also make you feel just happy inside. I want some good music, I want some good performances, I want some really nice set pieces. They showed a little bit of the movie at CinemaCon, and apparently a lot of people liked what they saw, so that just gets me even more excited. But coming in first place is David Fincher's newest film, The Killer. Now, this is supposed to come out on Netflix later this year, and I cannot wait for it. David Fincher has made some of the best thrillers once again of all time, with some of my favorite movies, like already mentioned, Gone Girl, Seven, The Social Network, some being thrillers, some other just being just straight up dramas. And I think this is very much so going to be a mixture of that. It tells the story of an assassin played by Michael Fassbender, who has now not only 1 movies on this list, but 2 movies. But really the big draw towards this movie for me is the fact that it's from David Fincher, a director that I have already expressed how much I am a big fan of his, and that's what makes this one my number 1 most anticipated movie for the rest of 2023. But that is it for my list of most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. Don't forget to make sure to let me know down below in the comment section what movies are you most excited for the rest of the year. I would love to see your list, and I want to thank you so much for watching this video. And again, if you did enjoy it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as that notification bell so you don't miss any further videos. And as always, look forward to more videos and reviews coming soon. My name is Ben, people call me Meter, and I'll see you guys in the next one.